friends. Today we're going to do an exercise about spirals and arcs and lines. I'm going to be demonstrating this from a chair, seated in a chair, but feel free to do it standing or sitting on the ground or lying on the ground, whatever is comfortable and serves you best today and serves your body. Wherever you are, you're going to want to make sure that you have enough space to carve out around any side of you. So just making sure that you have your furniture and your walls around in a place that supports your mobility. So we're going to start by just finding our neutral position. And we're just gonna tune into the straightness or the uprightness or horizontalness, if you're lying down, of your spine as it reaches from our tailbone all the way through the top of our head. And we're gonna take our head and start gently moving it side to side, kind of in an exaggerated no, and we're just going to feel that rotation right on the top of our spine. Thinking of our head moving on top of our neck, rotating around it. And in these next couple of rotations, you're going to allow your neck vertebra to express a little bit more of the rotation. So your vertebrae are starting to move. You might notice some movement in your shoulders. And in these next few rotations, you're going to invite that movement into your shoulders, allowing those shoulders to assist with your rotation. And then allowing your arms to assist in that rotation. We're going to bring our arms up to a top corner level. And you can bring your focus up as well. And just notice how that spiral in your torso can spiral up through the sky as you support with your arms. We're going to bring our arms down to the ground, and we're going to add a little bit of a contraction as we spiral. And then let's come back to our neutral. All right, so there's our spiral in our spine and our core. We're going to start moving out to our limbs and our distal points. So we're going to take our arms, let's just have them in a comfortable, restful position. And then we're going to start imagining a corkscrewing motion from our shoulder blades all the way through our middle fingers and then beyond. And we're going to come back to our neutral, imagining a corkscrewing motion and back to our neutral, and a corkscrewing motion, back to our neutral. Awesome. Let's try it the other way. So we're going to find a spiral of inward rotation in our arms. Wonderful. We're going to put those together. So we're going to corkscrew all the way out with an outward rotation, and then spiral all the way in. And as we do this out and in, we're going to let that spiral bring our arms to explore new areas of the space around us. So really letting that spiral initiate the movement, kind of like you're a screw drilling into a board. As you spiral, you bring yourself further in to that wood. invite you to remember your back space. So this area behind you, your side space, area to the side, above, below. All right, we're going to move our attention down to our legs. So I'm going to extend them down in front of me and kind of balance on the edge of my chair. If you're standing, you can feel free to hold on to something for balance, or you can change your position, whatever works for you. And we're just going to start with a little bit of rotation through our legs, finding that rotation. And I'm going to start pushing and twisting the energetic spiral and then just recovering to neutral. And you'll notice I'm only doing one side at a time. This is for balance for me. You can feel free to do both sides at a time if you're on the floor. So really finding, and what does it mean to be a spiral as opposed to just a rotation? I'm noticing already that I'm rocking a little bit more on my pelvis when I'm thinking about rotation. It's already translating up into my body. And we'll find our other leg, allowing some spiral in our rotation from beyond our second toe all the way through our hip, feeling the response of our body. Let it come to neutral. All right, we're going to try an inward rotation spiral and just feel how the body might accommodate the spiraling of your leg all the way up through your hip and beyond. Switch legs when it works for you. And let that come to rest. We are going to connect our one whole side of our body. And I'm going to stretch one side. And then I'm going to start initiating a twist, maybe from my fingers, and feel how that twists all the way down to my toes. So feeling like I'm wringing out this line of energy. And I'm going to come back to neutral. And I'm going to find that in my other side. Initiating from the fingers, feeling the spiral wringing out. And back a few more times. Spiraling. And spiraling. And so what I'm kind of thinking about as I'm moving through the spiral is kind of this idea of a pull and a counter pull. So as my fingertips are reaching, what's really creating a spiraling motion as opposed to just a rolling motion is that my fingers are reaching and I have a counter pull through my toes. So this side is really trying to move as this side is pulling me back, as opposed to they're both reaching and folding in. I'm reaching and I'm reaching behind, which is creating my spiral. So let's just try that a couple of times. We're reaching through our fingertips. At the same time, we're reaching back with our toes and really, really feeling the sense of tension and the sense of expansiveness in our body. We'll try that on the other side. Reaching, finding that tension and that expansiveness, and returning. Awesome. Awesome. So we are going to move on to some arcing and some circular motion. Once again, we're going to start with the head, and we're just going to let it balance on top of the neck and kind of create a circular motion. And we're just going to bring our attention to how this carves out the space around us. Sometimes I like to think about those light paintings where you take like a glow stick in a very dark room and a camera with a very long exposure, and you write with a glow stick. So if we were writing with a glow stick, you can allow this to increase. The shape would be a big arcing circle. In this large circle, we're going to find a time to reverse. Be gentle with this, especially if you have balance or dizziness issues. And we're going to allow that circle to come spiral in a little bit. And we're going to transfer this light painting to our fingertips. Let's just stay on one side. And we're making this light painting to the side of us, but we can also make a light painting of a circle in front of us, or up and down. We can also go up and above to our side. And these are just representative of 3 planes that we have. You could do any combination of the 3. So finding big arcs with your light painting coming from your fingers that carve out the space in kind of the section of the outside of a circle or a sphere. And let's bring that exploration in a little bit so we can still create a circle and a sense of roundness and arcing, even if we're not reaching to the fullest extent of our mobility. And you're going to allow that to transfer over to your other hand. Maybe we hang out for a little bit. And our other hand is going to start small. Don't forget about your backspace. I forget about my backspace sometimes. Creating these arcing circles, or I should say arcs and circles, and allowing it to grow. Reminding yourself of all of these different planes of movement that you have, like forward and back, side to side, around yourself, and everything in between. We're going to allow that arcing exploration to come into our chest. And feel how we can explore an arc in a very 3-dimensional way with something that's very close to the center of our body. And let's let it travel down to the hips, which might be different if you're sitting, right, than if you're standing. It's an interesting challenge. It's also a challenge of intention, which is if my movement is very small, how can I still focus and attend to the specific parameters of that movement? How can I, in my mind and my body, make sure that I'm still thinking about an arcing motion? And let's let it travel down to one knee. Again, at whatever mobility is accessible to you. And and down to a foot. This is a fun opportunity to use the floor. Once again, we're going to play with scale, so bringing it down into a smaller pathway, transferring over to our other foot. And up to the knee. And up to our hip. And then down into our belly button. We'll make that even smaller and smaller and smaller until it resembles stillness. Wonderful. All right, we are going to work with some straight line movement. So for this, I would like to work with an idea, for starters, of a 9-pointed cube. So we're going to imagine that there is a cube around us. There's this front pane of invisible glass. There are these side panes. There's one in the back, one on top, and one on bottom. And on each pane of glass, there is a corner, a center, and a corner on top. There's a corner, a center, and a corner in the middle, and a corner, a center, and a corner on the bottom. So there are all of these points on this cube in front of us. And we'll just start with our dominant hand because that's an easy access point. We're going to find the quickest pathway that we can to the center of the front of our cube, and then the quickest pathway we can to the top, quickest pathway we can to the side, and quickest pathway we can to the other side. So if we were going to think about our light painting again, we're drawing straight lines that aren't super squiggly. They're not the same as our arc. They're as straight and direct as possible. So let's take our non-dominant hand and we're gonna play with the corners. So we'll go up to the top left corner and maybe down towards the bottom right corner. So you don't have to reach all the way to the corner. It's an intention thing. And how about to the bottom right corner and the back top left? Let's take our head and we're going to just find different corners of our cube to send our head with. Once again, thinking about our intention as the thing that's dictating our movement as opposed to it actually getting to a physical space. And let's take some lower body. Other lower body side. Nice. All right, we're going to bring that exploration out of the 9-pointed cube, and we're gonna kind of play leapfrog with different points of our body. So I'm going to start with, let's all start with our fingers, and we're gonna find a point just in space to go. And then we're going to leapfrog to our elbow. So our elbow goes to a different point. Leapfrog to our shoulder, which goes to a different point directly. To the back of our neck, other shoulder, other elbow, other hand. Back up our arm, so hand, elbow, shoulder, back of the neck. Let's do our nose. Forehead, nose, sternum. Let's do the belly button, direct pathway, and the tailbone. Down one hip, to our knee, to our foot, back up to that knee, and hip, other hip, knee, foot, knee, hip, tailbone, spine, neck, head. All right, so we're going to put all three of these ideas together into a dance. So we have our spirals that we've worked on, we have our arcs, carving in space, and we have our direct lines that go directly to a point in space. We're working with three primary directions. And so our first direction is our side to side. Then we have our up and our down. And then we have front and back. Our first movement is going to be our spiral. And we're going to find a spiral to the side. We're going to arc in opposition, so to the other side. And then we're going to find a straight pathway with our fingertips back, and then we'll just relax back into our neutral. We'll do that again on the other side. We spiral, we arc to the other side, direct pathway with the fingertips, relax into neutral. So as I give these directions, there's no right or wrong way to do them. Your movement might have a different capacity. You might want to play with your lower body. Any variations are totally okay, what you want to do. We are going to work top to bottom. So we're going to spiral up from our fingertips, resonating all the way through our torso. We're going to arc down. You can arc forward, you can arc back. We're going to direct our fingers up and then melt into neutral. Other side, we spiral up, arc it down, direct pathway up, back to neutral. To the front, we spiral, arc back, line forward, recover, spiral forward, arc back, line forward, and neutral. All right, we're going to do that with music, and then we're going to add a variation. So, spiraling, we're going to arc, direct line, come back to neutral, other side, spiral, arc to the other side, direct pathway, come back to neutral. We're going to go up to down, so spiraling with the right, arc, direct pathway up, come back to neutral, left side, we go spiral, arc, direct pathway, melt, to the front and to the back, spiral, arc, direct pathway, melt to neutral, again, we spiral, arc, direct pathway, come to neutral, nice. Okay, we are going to add on our first variation. So we're going to start in our usual fashion with a spiral to our right, an arc across, a direct line, and our melt. We're going to go immediately to our left, spiraling up, arcing down, halfway up, and melt immediately into our right, spiraling forward, arcing back, pathway forward, and melt. To our left side, spiral, arc, straight line, melt. Right side goes up, spiral, arc, straight line, melt. Left side, front, and scoop to the front and down. So we're still going side, up, down, front, back. We're just switching every side. Arc, direct line, down, up and down, spiral, arc, line, front front and back, spiral, arc, line, left side, arc, line, in, up and down, right side, arc, line, front and back, left side, arc, line. Let's do it again. Right side, spiral, arc, line, up and down, left, arc, line, front and back, right. We go spiral, arc, line, in, right to the side, left to the side, right, up, arc, line, nice, awesome job. So our third variation is going to be a real brain teaser. We are going to use 3 primary directions. We're going to use our sides, our upper space, and our back space. Our pattern is still going to be our spiral, arc, direct line, and melt. But we're going to go spiral with our first side. We're going to go up with our arc. We go direct line back, melting in. We start spiral up, we arc back, direct line side and in, spiraling back, scooping side, direct line up and in. Other side goes spiral to the side, arc up, direct line back, melting in, we spiral up, arcing back, direct line side, and in, spiraling back, scooping side, direct line up, and in. Yeah, that's it. Starting with our spiral, arc up, line, spiraling up, arc back, line, spiraling back, arc, line, to the side, line, spiral up, arc, line, spiraling back, arc side, line up. Let's do it 2 more times. Thank you so much for sticking with me in that crazy brain teaser. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for dancing with me.